Control the Mask. Now, this movie is on Shudder. If you haven't watched this yet, you got to check it out. A lot of blood, violence. This is what horror movies should be, man. It tells a really cool story. There's some great action in it. Murders. It's practical makeup, what we love here on our show. Anyway, I want to welcome Armando Fonseca and Capel Furman to the show, the directors, the writers, producers. You guys had so many hats on this one. Welcome to Where the Scary Things Are. How are you guys doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Did I pronounce your names
thank
right?
you.
Did I pronounce your names right? I hope I didn't butcher them too bad.
No, it's fine.
Even here in Brazil, nobody pronounces it right.
So I got to ask, man, how's Brazil?
Not so right now, not so good.
Falling apart.
And you guys are both in Brazil now?
Yes, actually, we are. Armando lives quite near me. We live in the same neighborhood in São Paulo. So, yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I got to talk to you about the movie. Where did this idea come from? I mean, it's such a unique movie. I don't recall ever seeing a South American, at least Brazilian, horror film personally. I enjoyed it. I thought it had some elements that I've never seen before, which I'll get into. But how did the idea come?
The thing started in 2012, 8 years ago. First, I designed the mask for a TV show that we host called Cinelab. It's kind of a reality show where we make each episode, we make different short films. Mm-hmm. And we decided to do a slasher one. And so I designed the mask, but I didn't know the background, how to use it. But the mask kind of looked good. So I decided to start creating this universe about the whole thing, the history of the mask and stuff like that. And one thing that I was trying to avoid is the Eurocentric Catholic stuff, because there's too much stuff, too much films about it. So we have such a cultural and folkloric environment here in Latin America, and it's not so much used for films that I decided to let's try to mix everything together and create a different story, but it's still a slasher film, because for me the most important part was to have a kind of film that I could exercise the visual aspects of a horror film. So for me, it's more important the visual aspects, the visual aesthetics, than anything else. So that's the beginning, and then we start to developing the stuff, the film. And in 2018, I got an opportunity to do a pitch in the Fantasmercado, which is a film market during Fantaspoa. It's a Brazilian film festival. And so I pitched the idea for It's Called The Mask. And luckily, we got some investors that thought it was a good idea. And we decided let's make it. So that's, in a nutshell, yeah, basically that is it. I know it's a mess of explanation why we decided to do it. But the real reason is I kind of miss that kind of film, why not film? You know, the films from the 80s and the 70s from China and Italy, that why not to make it?
Armando, do you want to add anything to that, or?
No, that's it. But we had the freedom to create the background of the character, because as Capo said, we use the same character without a background on our TV show. So I think we made like 4 or 5 episodes through the seasons, and each episode was different. So one episode, it was like the same creature, the same killer. He came through a portal from hell. In another episode, we used the same creature as a Mortal Kombat themed episode. And then years after that, we created this background to explore in the film.
Well, it's funny that you say like Mortal Kombat, because in the way the film opens up, it's a lot of action. There's a lot of martial arts. And Muse and I are really big wrestling fans. And we thought we saw a rock bottom in there. The guy picks the guy up and drops him. But yeah, what kind of influences? I mean, you mentioned, some of the older films, which I and I know Chris will kind of go into this when he asks his questions, but that's what I got. Like, I felt like I was watching an old school 80s, late 80s movie with the gore and the over the top kills, realistic, the facial expressions as somebody's throat is getting sliced or whatever. So what kind of influences did you guys have to create this film?
First, wrestling, of course. I love wrestling. I grew up watching wrestling, American wrestling and Brazilian wrestling. So for me, it was very important to have the fights in that way. And we got the opportunity to work with people from Brazilian Wrestling Federation. They are great. They helped us so much. And the main character, the Skull character, is played by a Brazilian champion called HorrO Jr. So to have wrestling was very important. But also, like I said, I miss those films like Why Not Make It? The idea is absurd, the idea is insane, but that's one reason to make it. And the reason why it looked, I think one of the reasons why it looked like a 80s film is because we shot in the same conditions. Like we didn't have enough money, the crew was very small, we didn't have enough time. And for me, it was very important to use practical effects because I work with that. And like I said, when you have a visual thing in the film, for me, makes the whole difference. Why to make that film? To exercise the visual aesthetics.
Yeah, some references come from, like, it's kind of obvious, but it was not something that we thought about it to put in the film. So references like The Thing or Hellraiser, it was not something like we did thinking about it. It just happens naturally because it's movies that are like inside our head for 20, 30 years already. And I like, and Capio likes very much comics and video games. So I like very, very much Garth Ennis comics, like Preacher, that has a lot of graphical violence. A guy gets shot and his jaw explodes, the arm explodes. So we are trying to put that on film, something that's not very usual for us here, So we thought to put something very graphical, violence, plastic violence on the film.
Well, I have two more questions before I hand it over. And you kind of touched on one of them. It's a good segue. Because I'm not familiar with the film industry in your country, in Brazil, did you guys take any heat on this film? Was it a little bit too violent, or are people praying at your door and sending you rosaries and stuff like that? Or how did this go? How did your audience take this?
We actually don't have a film industry here. Filmmaking in Brazil is more like a roller coaster. Every 10 years, we go up and down. So every 10 years, we have to learn again how to make films. So we don't have this constant thing. So the audience here is not very aware of the horror scene, especially Brazilian movies like ours. But we have a lot of filmmakers here that do a lot of horror films, but they go under the radar. So we have a special kind of audience that watches it, but it's not like it's a mainstream thing. So when people realize that we do make this kind of film, they like it because it's very different from what they are used to watch it.
Yeah, the Brazilian film market is the film industry is very addicted to using money from the government to make films. So they make like traditional kind of films, comedies and dramas, and not that kind of exploding head kind of films that we like to make here. So now here, right now, we have a president that does not like culture. So he took off the money from this industry, and the filmmakers kind of stopped making films. But us, as independent filmmakers, we don't stop. We keep doing it. So we are kind of the product that keeps being made, whether the government supports or not the culture here. So that's something that the public recognizes here in Brazil.
Well, we watched a film not too long ago, which was also released on Shudder, called The Queen of Black Magic, and this was, I believe it was Thailand, right, HorrO. And this film really reminded me of that, just because you guys, as you put it, heads busting or skull busting, there's just there's no chill, as we call it here in the States. It was just hardcore, and that's what horror fans want. They want to see blood. They don't want to see, a whole story build up. You just want to get right into it and get down to the nitty gritty. And you guys succeeded in that. I am going to pass it on, but I just wanted to say one of my favorite scenes was when I forgot the character's name, but the girl was kind of doing that seance thing, and she kind of went to this other dimension, and saw what was going on there. I just loved that scene. I thought it was a beautiful scene, from just what she was seeing to when she died. When she died, it was hardcore, but it was so many elements to that. And I just thought that was one of my favorite scenes of the whole movie. But I'm going to pass it on over to Muse. Muse, don't unclick your mute button like it's coming. I saw that.
I knew it.
Okay, you just wait.
Half the time I forget to unclick it.
Yeah, right. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Here's Muse.
Okay. Hey guys, love the movie. I'm a real fan of really bloody, gory horror movies, and this was absolutely right up my alley. I knew when Omar recommended it was going to be everything that I expected, so I was really excited to get into talking to you guys about this. One thing I was really curious about was the film based on any actual like legends or ancient legends or anything like that? I was just kind of wondering where you got the idea for the story from. Were there any things that you based it on that actually are in the lore or the legends?
Well, first of all, thank you very much. We appreciate that. We appreciate that you all like it. The film, especially the gore part and the practical effects.
Yes.
As for the history, the true facts on the film, there is actually none. It's a mix between legends and folkloric stories and mystic mythology from Latin America. The Inca Empire was kind of they last for a very short period of time, but they connect all the tribes, all the people that used to live before the conquistadores here in Latin America, and they mix it all the cultures, all the legends from all these people in Latin America, and create their own culture. So the idea was, why not to make this kind of thing with the film? So we picked a lot of folkloric tales and stories and history, actual real history from Latin America, and mix it all together and create the story for the film. So actually, Ayangá is not is a spirit from the Tupi Guarani culture, but the Ayangá in the movie is not the real Ayangá. Is actually how the Jesuits saw Ayangá as in a Catholic view. Like for them, for the Tupi Guarani culture, there is no such thing as just evil and good. You have a lot of things in between. But for the Jesuits, you can be good or you can be evil, and there's no in between. And everything from the people that were already here was already evil. So that's how they saw Ayangá. Ayangá actually is more like Hades, the spirit from when you die, you meet with Ayangá. but he's not good or nor evil. He's just something that happens. And the idea was how to portray that in the movie and say, oh, the Jesuits thought this kind of spirit was Ayanga. So it's a lot of things to put in 90 minutes, but the idea was to tell a little bit of the folkloric tales that we have in Latin America and how we see them.
Well,
Yes.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No problem. The film criticizes colonial views. You know, the Portuguese came here and like conquested the Indians and made their culture the official culture, and we tried to criticize that. So we were very cautious on how to portray these myths, that's the indigenous myths here from Brazil. We didn't want to be like an Eurocentric view of it. So we tried to put it like on the other way. The right ones are the indigenous people, you know.
Well, it was fantastic, absolutely, and I loved hearing, both of your different takes on how you weave the story together. It was fantastic, and I always find it so fascinating when you hear behind the scenes about how the stories were created and things of that nature. So that's fantastic. So I have to ask, where did the design for the mask come from? I love it. It reminded me, you mentioned Hellraiser, and immediately when the horns come up out of the mask, I thought of the lament configuration from Hellraiser. And I think it's interesting that you mentioned Hellraiser, because you definitely saw maybe some influences there. So yeah, I just want to know, talk a little bit about the design for the mask and how that came about.
The design for the mask is basically, I study a lot of visual arts and artifacts from that time period, the period of time. And I study also the materials that were available at the time that they would use to make such a mask. But as visually, I search reference all over the world, like the samurai crab. I don't know if you know about this. It's a crab that looks like a samurai hat.
Oh wow!
Helmet. It's a real animal that lives in Japan. So the idea was to use like this skull-shaped helmet, but with crab legs. So mixing biological stuff, biological anatomy with how a man-made artifact would be.
Yes, Capel is being very modest.
It was fantastic. I was blown away. I knew when I saw that mask, bad things were going to happen for sure.
Yes. The design from that we used in the film, it was like the 4th or 5th design of the mask itself. Because as we said earlier, we used the same character in several episodes of our TV show. And every episode, Capel created a new design based on Lucha Libre, based on other things. And then we came up with this last design that was like more superior, more strong per se.
It was absolutely fantastic. And I want to know, and for my last question, and I was reading a lot of reviews for your movie. I usually don't do this, and I don't hold a lot of weight in reviews because I like to see movies for myself and make my own judgment. And I loved it. And everybody else loved it too. I didn't see one bad review. So I can honestly say everybody's loving it over here. But everybody's wanting to know about a sequel. They want to know, is there going to be a sequel to Skull the Mask? Is there going to be a continuation of the story? Because I'm not going to ruin anything, but you guys leave some room there possibly if you do want to do that.
Well, luckily we got a lot of good reviews, but we also have a lot of haters. So it's a movie with lovers and haters. And
haters.
No. Some of them are useful. Some of them are just kind of annoying. I mean, there was one guy that was angry because, according to his books, in 1940s there was no such wrestling movement like rock bottom. So
Oh goodness, I love the
so
rock bottom move.
yeah, but he was angry because we used rock bottom an offense like that in 1944, and for him this is historically impossible. So okay,
Let's
the
focus on
slasher
that.
film is not a documentary, but
Right. You know what? I would have just cracked up at that review. I think I would have got a pretty good laugh out of that. To be like, well, we got to throw something in there for everybody. Like you said, it's not a documentary. It's a great film. It's a lot of fun, and it is a must see for horror fans. If you love gore and you love ancient artifacts, legends, and all kinds of great storytelling, I would absolutely recommend this one. So I love talking to you, gentlemen. I don't want to take up the whole time. I feel like I've hogged you enough. So I'm going to pass you to Omar because he recommended this fantastic film for all of us to see. And I know he's got some great questions for you guys.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you guys for joining us. And that's absolutely ridiculous what that reviewer said. Now, how the hell do they know what kind of wrestling move there is in 1944 or not? The only person who would know that is Chris. And I don't see him objecting over there. So that is crazy stuff. But I kind of expand on that question. What about the good reviews? Like how has that felt? And obviously landing on Shudder right now, you don't get much bigger than that. How does that feel?
Well, just to finish the other answer, yeah, we would like to have a sequence, but it's not up to us. It's up to money, and we don't have it. And as for the good,
we have stories enough that we already wrote before we made the film that we can continue and make sequels, like past times, present times, future times. We have these plot lines that we will play around with it. So if you are listening to this, you like the film, help us make another one.
As for the good reviews, yeah, we were very pleased and surprised, actually. We didn't expect to have this kind of buzz with the film. It was a very good surprise for us. And especially with Shudder, we didn't expect that. So it was very good. It was for us, like, you have to imagine an independent film with almost no budget, and from Brazil, especially a slasher film, getting this kind of, I know it's not big, but for us, it's big enough, and it only makes us with more wanting to make more movies. So it's very special. We really appreciate this kind of feedback.
Yeah, it's a crazy experience because the film hit 10 countries outside of Brazil. In here, we didn't release it yet because what's happening here is that when we have some attention outside, then people start to pay attention to us here inside. So we were very happy to be on Chattanooga last year. That gave us a lot of good reviews. And then the movie released on Shudder. It was amazing. Millions of people have access to it. And if like 1,000 people watch it, for me, it's very good. It's a good experience.
Awesome. That's one of the things we love about Shudder is bringing us films that otherwise most people would never see because of some of the limitations that you guys mentioned. So I love, we've all said it. We love the practical effects. We love some of the makeup and everything in it. And you guys can pick the scene because there's so many great ones. But talk about, one of the ones where there's a lot of special effects going on, getting that from the start to finish. Like, what was that like? Pick any scene, the car scene, the dance scene, whatever scene you want, and just from all the special effects to getting everything together to ending that scene.
Because we had a very limited budget for the whole film, you can imagine how limited was the budget for special effects. So we did the opposite. Like when we were writing the screenplay, we were already writing the scenes, thinking I have access, I can do this kind of stuff. So the special effects, were very important, factor to write the scene. So we wrote the scene based on what we could do, and with this amount of money and with this very limited amount of time. So every scene every scene was we were thinking, can we make it this? Can we make this in less than 1 day? Because the film goes to a lot of places, and we didn't have enough time to spend more than 1 day in each location. So even for the club scene, we need to think, oh, can we do this quick? Can we do this with not only quick, but with a quality that is worthy to put in a film? So everything was very calculated, but as much as we calculated, we don't have control over random things like how the actor is going to behave, how the camera is going to behave, because the camera can break, the lights cannot work. Everything, when I do like special effects tests in my shop, everything works fine. But when we go to the set, it's not only up to the special effects, it's up to everything that's happening at the same time. So as much as we were prepared for it, we had so much troubles happening at the same time that we had to deal. And so it's basically like this. You have 3 kinds of film: the one that you want to make it, the idea one, and the one that you can make it within the possibilities of the reality, and the one that the viewers watch. When you are watching a film, you don't know how hard or how easy it was to make every scene. But as for the special effects, I'm very happy that everything was very smooth, and the actors were great. Like, I don't know if you ever been in a shooting of a special effects scene. It's very unpleasant to be covered in blood. So the actors were great. Everyone was great, and they understood what we wanted to make. Even though, like, most of the actors, they don't like horror films, and they were like, why I'm drawing in a pool of blood? Like, that actress, she's great. She's a great friend of ours, and she doesn't complain. She does, oh, I need to go deep in this pool of blood. Okay, no problem. Let's do it.
Yes, we had like some. We made the film, actually. It's a revelation. It's a revelation here. We made the film stepping on the brakes. Actually, we were very worried that people would think that the movie was very gory and they had too much blood, too much viscera, and too much killings. So we like took out half of it. So what we see in the movie, it's like what was left of it, because we actually make movies, very extreme movies with very extreme deaths and special effects. But in this situation, we thought, no, we had to write a film that has some kind of plot and not only killings. So we tried to make like a balance like this. But some things worked very nicely. We have the scene in the church, that the church is all flooded. That was an accident. In that day, it rained a lot, and we didn't know that the ceiling of the church was like full of holes. So we had the church flooded, and we could not make anything out of it. We couldn't dry it. We didn't have time to dry it. But Capel, as he's a genius in special effects, he prepared like pools of solid blood. So we didn't like spilled liquid blood on the floor of the church. He had this solid bloods like jello, like solid jello bloods that we could like put it, and it wouldn't like disperse on the water. It would be there fixated. So this kind of things that Capel does this for 20 years now, is the difference that we can shoot quickly, like he said, and we can like use one location for one day instead of we using the same location for 2-3 days because we didn't know how to make the scenes or whatever problem comes out of it.
But actually, because of that, the situation, we saw the reflection of the stained glass on the pool of water. And after that, we decided to do the priest and skull fight. Because we didn't plan to make that kind of shot for that fight. But after we saw the reflection of the stained glass in the water, we saw, oh, that looks good, that looks beautiful. Then we decided to shoot the scene in that way. So sometimes you plan and sometimes you go with the flow, so literally in this case. And also one important thing that we didn't want to make torture porn. I'm not against that, but the idea with the slasher films have gore in an entertaining way. Like you want to have fun. You want to have you don't want to be disgusted by that. You don't want to feel bad about that. You want to have fun. So we thought all the special effects should should entertain the viewer and not disgust the viewer. For me, that was very important.
And it was very important for me to have a background on the plot that criticizes the society, criticizes the government, because we don't have like, I know that a lot of people like to watch like bloodbaths. We have the bloodbath, but we also have some kind of social importance that we can pass along, you know. We're trying to do kind of this.
No problem. I mean, we see tons of movies now, especially now. It's important to take hints and about society or this or that. So there's no problem. But we do love the bloodbath as well. We have no problem with that. I guess I love the blood the stain moment that you mentioned. And actually, you know, when I watched it again, I noticed that more than the first time. My favorite scenes in the movie, I mean, there's tons of them, but is the fight with the priest and also the scene in the club. I'm curious, between you guys, what is your favorite, I guess, special effects kind of scene in the movie? Now that the movie is done, you kind of get a chance to reflect on that.
For me, is the scene when Lila, the gothic girl, does the ritual and dies. For me, I like that scene very much, especially when we were shooting, but also how it fits in the movie. I think for me, it's a moment that you don't have this kind of chaos. You go to another universe, and you almost don't have sound in there. You just have a drone, a soundtrack mimicking the screams. So the whole thing with that scene for me works great.
Yeah, that scene is a cool metaphor. So we don't show another scene that someone gets the rib cage, like explode the rib cage. We do like a metaphor. So she's in a nightmare that something's happening to her outside of that nightmare as well. I like this kind of thing. The special effects that I like the most on the film is every time Skull throws his machete and gets it back. So in the club, he throws at the DJ and the DJ, blah, gets her head exploded. Throws at the girl coming out of the bathroom and her stomach just goes to the floor. After he hits the priest, he's like looking for his machete and he sees it and he just like gets it, like throwing his intestines. I liked it. I think it's very disgusting.
I love it, and that's something that's very different. You don't see too many slasher movies with the ability to do that, especially in that way. Usually maybe in a magic thing or something like that, but not an actual something coming out and grabbing it and coming back. That's awesome. I thank you guys for answering my questions, and I'm gonna let Chris finish it off here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, Armando Capella. I got to be honest with you. When Ken said you two were going to be on, I was very, very disappointed because, of course, I was hoping for Natalia Rodriguez to come on. Don't ask why. Yeah, I want to talk about her a little bit. Sort of and forgive my comparison, but a cross between Milja Jovovich and Paula Oliveira. And that's just me. I don't. That's what I'm looking at on the screen. And I want you guys to talk a little bit about who she is, because she takes on a role in this movie where a lot of people don't immediately pick it up. But to fight this monster, you guys wrote in another monster, because she's really a monster in this movie. There is some innuendo that she might have been a part of something just as horrible herself a few years previous. And that's never really dispelled. And even at the end of the movie, there's this looming thing of she might be very monstrous. And you might have had this monster with the mask and the tentacles, but Natalia pulled off a monster portrayal herself. And it's like, I don't think Paula Oliveira could have pulled that off. I mean, but she had it. She had that look in her face. She had that attitude. And it's a good thing she was really good looking. Otherwise, we might not have liked her as much. So talk a little bit about her. Who is she? I think she is not very well known in the US yet, but perfect for this movie. And again, she delivered that role of a monster, maybe even more monstrous than the one she will meet in the movie.
One thing that is very important to establish is the background, like how police works here, especially in São Paulo. They are not soft. The wages are very low. Like they are mistreated by society. They're mistreated by the bad guys, and most of the times they are the bad guys also. So it was very important for us to establish that although the style of the film flirts with comic books, we still wanted to maintain this real aspect of how police works here in Brazil. They don't have equipment. They are mistrained. They have to do this kind of gigs that sometimes are kind of sketchy, like killing a lot of people. So it was very important for the film to establish that. And then we built the character, and we were very lucky to have Natalia trusting on us with that, because it's not something that you see a lot here, especially here in Brazil, because most of the films here, they go in a way like in a soap opera way. So everything's standard, everything's soft, and we didn't want that.
Yeah, I personally seen some reviews talking about her character like this. A police woman, a cop couldn't be this corrupt. They couldn't be this bad. But actually, she's not that bad compared to what we have here, you know. And as Capel said, their wages are very low. They are mistrained. So her character is like a step away from living in the slums, just like Banco, the one she is going after. You know, she kind of she tries to redeem herself in the final scene with the main villain, but she redeems herself in kind of a bad way. It's a situation that a bad person would take that attitude, you know. So she's always like transiting from being bad to good, evil to good, not always being evil, not always being good. But if she stays in the middle, she's actually better than what we have here as cops, you know.
Right. You know, there's a scene where Tack Wader or Weld, I forget his name, actually corrupts her. They might have some photographs or some incriminating information, but I tell you, if you work with us, you'll get what you want, we'll get what we want. And I remember looking at Beatrice on the screen, and I'm thinking that Tack guy is in a lot of trouble because she is going to make it work for her. And I won't give any spoilers. I had a chance to spend a week with a lot of cops down in Sife, and the slums. The people in the U.S. have no idea. We have slums, but Brazil, they have major league slums. We have our major cities, 300, 400, 500 murders a year. Brazil, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 murders a year in the major cities. You want to talk about a pandemic? Forget about COVID. Think about bullets. And did you guys get into the slums to film? And if you did you make any friends there, or?
Not really. I worked in a few films that were shot in the slums, but for in our case, for two reasons. One, because we didn't have the budget for it, because you need a lot of structures to that, and also because we didn't want to kind of romanticize the slums,
Right?
Because slasher films is a pastiche, is like I said, a comic book.
Yeah.
And if you put the slums in a pastiche, in a comic book, they are not real anymore. They are fictional thing. So we didn't think that was right to exploit this fact that it's real in Brazil and is a terrible problem, social problem here, especially in São Paulo. Right now in São Paulo, we have about 100,000 people living in the streets.
Yeah.
We call Cracolândia, from crack.
Cracolândia.
From crack. So it's a terrible problem here. And we didn't want to portray that as entertainment in a film. So we avoid that and create something that was similar to slums, but not the real ones.
Right. I love the movie. It's a horror movie. We get a lot of people, they say, well, it's not really a horror movie. It's a love story. It's a whatever. No, this is a horror movie. And I really appreciate that. And I know my buddy Omar, he's the same way. We don't want to see Hallmark Channel. We don't want to see drama. We want to see horror. And when the tentacles shot out of the skull, it didn't matter what happened the rest of the movie. You had me. And I'm thinking, this is Lovecraft. This is Clive Barker. But I'm thinking, no, it wasn't. It was Armando. It was Capel. It was, I had the feeling, and I think you alluded to it earlier, you weren't reading Lovecraft books and writing things in. This was something very, very unique. And I just thought that was wonderful. And I can only congratulate you guys.
Thank you.
I know we're getting late on time and I'm going to have to pass it back, but if you see Natalia Rodriguez, tell her she's got a real big fan here in the United States. And bring her next time. So thank you so much. And I'll pass you back to Ken.
Thank you.
The sequel.
Thank you.
On the sequel, right? Armando, I gotta ask you a question before we jump into our next segment. Are you a Star Wars fan?
Yes, I am a Star Wars.
I saw it.
And I'm kind of the dark side as well, you know?
Yeah, look at my shirt, man. Look at I'm a big Star Wars fan,
Cool,
see?
cool.
Yeah.
Don't get a rebel with me.
There you go. All right. Well, it's all fun and games until we get to this next segment here. This is what we call the Deathly 13. It's 13 trivia questions that nobody knows the answers or questions except for Muse. Muse is going to ask you these questions. You guys are not playing against each other. You're working as a team. You can ask for help. You get some lifelines here. You can ask either one of us, Chris, myself, or Omar, one time each. You can ask for multiple choice, or you can ask for, you can postpone the question. Muse, did I get everything? Is that right? I think that's right, right?
Well, I know the chat is delayed.
Oh, the chat room.
Yeah, the
Yes.
chat room, we're live streaming on YouTube right now, and they play along with everybody when we do the trivia challenge. So we have a lot of really great horror movie fans out there in the chat that will be able to help you as well. So we can
We'll use
refer to
that,
the chat and see if they have any ideas or clues for you guys, or if they know the answer. And we could use that as
John's excited. John Grant's excited about it. There you
He's
go. What's up, John?
they love
Luke.
it.
Who else in there? All right, we're gonna get right into it. So go ahead, Muse. Let's kill him.
All right, I'm going to start out with a true or false question, just to kind of warm you guys up here. And I'm going to ask you, so just answer true or false. So it's basically like a 50-50 shot here. So true or false? In Steven Spielberg's classic from 1975, Jaws, Richard Dreyfuss was a young and up-and-coming actor that portrayed the character of Hooper in the movie. Is that true or false?
I think it's false. What do you think, Capo?
False. He was very well paid.
It's actually true. Richard Dreyfuss did portray the character of Hooper in Jaws. All right. Question 2. In the original Friday the 13th from 1980. And so remember, you guys got lifelines if you need them. In the original Friday the 13th from 1980, what was the name of the final girl who survived into the very end? She's in the boat. And, of course, we see like Jason come up out of the water and kind of get her at the end there. So I'm going to ask you, what was her name? And remember, you've got lifelines if you need them. If you want to ask the guys, multiple choice, or we can ask the chat room, or you can postpone the question if you're not sure and you want to wait.
Well, I'm terrible at this, so yeah, I kind of need help here.
Okay, what lifeline would you like to use?
Multiple choice.
Okay, multiple choice. Was it Alice, Annie, or Amy?
50-50. How about we go 50-50?
Okay,
We'll
50. I'll give you was it Alice or Annie?
I think it's Annie. What do you think, Capo?
I was wrong the last time, so I'll go with you.
What did you say, Annie?
Annie? No?
It was Alice.
Oh, we are terrible.
Well, I'm giving you the first one. Yeah.
All
I'm giving
right.
you the first one.
That's all right. That's all right.
Can you ask me technical stuff about special effects?
I just want to make you guys feel better for a second. I did terrible when I was faced with this challenge. So I'm supposed to be, like the, horror movie aficionado here, but I didn't do so hot. I think I got like 6 right out of like 13, maybe.
Wow, that's generous. I don't know about that. But...
You're right. Yeah.
All right, let's keep going. 3.
All right. So you're in good company anyway. All right. Question 3. What science fiction horror film did Kevin Bacon star in that featured creatures called graboids?
Go ahead.
Tremors?
Yes.
Yeah, that was easy. Come on.
All right. Excellent job. All right. Question 4. In the movie Pet Sematary from 1988, what was Louis Creed's profession? What was his job? He was the father.
Do we have a lifeline?
Yes.
Multiple choice?
You can ask any of us. You can ask the chat room. You can ask Chris, myself, or HorrO, or the chat room.
I think Ken would know this answer.
He was a doctor.
Yes.
Like a family doctor or something, right? Right? Oh, I got it right.
Doctor. Fantastic. All right. Question 5. So I'm going to give you another true or false question. In the movie Creepshow from 1982, there was a segment, the first segment, as a matter of fact, called Father's Day. Ed Harris portrayed a character named Hank. So true or false? This is in reference to how he died. Was he crushed by a tombstone falling into a grave? True or false?
Capo?
We have to guess. Can I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
The chat room knows, just so you know, if you want to ask the chat room.
Okay.
But just think about it. Think about where you're at in your lifeline. So
No. I mean, if you go with Creep Show, I guess makes sense to be true.
It is true.
With
It-
Yeah,
that,
that's
yeah.
it.
All right. Okay, question 6. Which film came first from George Romero? Dawn of the Dead or Day of the Dead?
Dawn of the Dead came first.
That is correct. Dawn of the Dead, 1978. Day of the Dead, 1985.
Yes.
All right. I love that you knew that. I'm a huge
Yes.
All right. Question 7. What young and rising star was featured in Stephen King's film adaptation of Firestarter?
Ooh, good question.
Oh, okay.
Chris has got his hand up.
I think Christopher would know that.
Yeah, wasn't it Drew Barrymore?
It was very young Drew Barrymore. Yes. Fantastic movie, by the way. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Question 8. Okay. So we're going to, I guarantee you the chat room here on YouTube is going to know this next one. Just kind of a hint. I think they'll know it. No pressure, guys.
Yeah, right. Don't use your lifeline if you don't want to, but Muse is kind of
You
hinting.
may- if you're not sure on it, you may know it. This centers on the film Night of the Demons from 1988. And there's a particular scene in which Linnea Quigley plays a character named Suzanne. And there's quite a bit of eye candy there for the gentleman watching the film. She takes her top off and she stuffs a particular beauty item into her breast. If that sounds familiar to you, I'm just going to ask you, what beauty item does Linnea Quigley stuff into her breast in that very memorable scene?
For the record, I think it might have been my first movie I saw boobs in. I think.
I don't know, Capo. I don't know.
All right. I know. I see
Okay.
somebody in the chat room and YouTube's got the answer. It looks like Luke has the answer there. If you want to.
We want to use it.
Chat room. Yeah, let's do
Okay.
it.
All right. Luke D in the YouTube chat room says lipstick.
And that's the one.
Lipstick stuffed into her breast. I had to convince my husband this actually happened. I was like, oh, you just want to see her boobs. Like, no, maybe we should just rewind it. And I just want to see for myself.
Go back and watch it.
Right. Exactly. Classic scene. Fantastic movie. All right. Question 9. In the movie Death Proof, this is probably the closest Quentin Tarantino's ever come to making a horror film, directing anyway. What make of car does stuntman Mike drive in the
Wait,
film Death Proof?
I got a hint for you guys. Hold on 1 second. Okay, hold on. On my microphone, which I'll try to raise up here, you can see it. It's right there. Can you see it?
Do you
I
know the
don't-
brand?
The
It
brand
is.
of the car?
Yeah, what make of
And you
car?
can't use me as a lifeline, but that doesn't count because it was just there.
You guys still have a lifeline for the multiple choice because Ken said gave you more of like a 50-50. So I say you still have the multiple choice if you want to use it.
Yeah, okay, we can do that.
Did you want to
Yeah.
use multiple choice?
I think
I
Capo
guess
knows
so,
that.
yeah. No.
All right. Omar's like, don't come over here. I don't know it. All right. Is it a Chevy Camaro, a Dodge Challenger, or a Chevy Nova?
I
The
guess
guys are
looks-
holding up the last one.
Oh, it's not. Okay, Nova. No. Oh,
It's Nova.
Okay, it's not Nova. Okay,
Ah.
the last one.
Oh,
It's Nova.
Oh, it's Nova. It
It's
is.
okay.
It's
Nova.
Nova. It's Nova. Yes, three. Us three.
Well-
Pick-
To be fair, we don't have this car here. We just have the Challenger.
yes.
Right. That's
Yes.
true. I was worried about that one. I was going to do true or false on that one. All
Mm.
right. The guys helped you out there. You guys are doing great. All right.
Thank
Question.
you.
All right. So this is an interesting little bit of trivia. True or false? Now, is it true though? True or false? The movie Scream is inspired by actual events that took place in Gainesville, Florida. Is that true or false?
One thing that is true, I work in a movie about the Gainesville Ripper in Jacksonville,
Oh.
but that doesn't matter. It's a
Go
type
ahead,
of
man.
film.
I think it's true. But
No,
go
it
ahead.
is true. I think it's true too. But funny thing, I met the guy.
Okay, that is awesome. Yeah, it is.
No, it's not awesome. It's not awesome.
Okay, it's not awesome. Oh, I thought you were talking about Wes Craven for a second. I was like,
No,
that's
no, no, it was crazy.
Not
The
the
other,
killer, though.
the killer.
Oh, okay, yeah. I retract that statement. Before I
Yes.
get hate mail. All right. So yes, it's actually true. Scream was based on actual events, I'm sure loosely, that happened in Gainesville, Florida. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, the guy's name it was Danny.
Oh wow. That is crazy. I had no idea. I've seen the movie a million times. I had no idea it was inspired by true events. All right, question 11. Another true or false? True or false? A Long Night at Camp Blood was almost the title of the Friday the 13th films.
I read the book.
Go ahead.
I think it's false.
It is actually true.
Okay, so sorry for that.
I'm glad they went with Friday the 13th. I like that much.
Yeah, no
better.
kidding.
All right. Question 12. Another true or false. I ran into some great items here that could have been true or not. True or false. Sissy Spacek, who stars in Carrie, actually slept in bloody clothes for 3 days to nail the look of a particular gory scene in the movie. Is that true or false? That is commitment.
Yeah.
It's committed, and not a good idea. Armando, go ahead.
I think it's false. Why would she do that? You know, it's crazy. But
No, Americans do some crazy things, man. Americans do some crazy things.
And that's the right idea. They are crazy.
Yeah.
Was that so? You say it's false?
that would be true.
It is true.
There you go.
She did. I don't know. I don't know if that's actually
No
accurate or
hints.
not, but it said it was true. So hopefully we don't get our lawyer saying that we're defaming anybody on the show or anything like that. All right.
Question 13 is worth 2 points. So you guys have only missed 2 questions so far. So you're doing really well. So if you get this one right, it means that you would go 12 for 13. So good luck. And you still have lifelines left. I think you still have Chris and HorrO, right?
Okay. No, we'll kind of use it in informal
I forgot,
way.
so it doesn't matter.
Since Ken forgot,
Omar-
you get an
Omar-
extra.
Error in your favor. I'm getting old.
All right. The last question is actually a quote from a pretty popular movie that came out in the 90s, a horror movie that came out in the 90s. So I'll give you a hint on that, and starred quite a hot young cast at the time. Not Scream, but a lot like it. Came out around the same time, I believe. And so I'm going to give you a quote that one of the characters said in the movie, and just let me know what film you think it is. Oh, you got a letter? I got ran over. Helen gets her hair chopped off, and Julie gets a body in her trunk, and you get a letter? Well, that's balance.
Do you know, Capu?
No.
Would that be? I'm guessing here. All right. I know what you did last summer.
That is correct. It is.
Nice.
I know what you did last summer. You pulled it out. All right.
Nice.
Fantastic.
So you guys did awesome. 12 for 13.
Did better than me.
Muse, yeah, Muse, you got some good questions there. I actually had a lot of fun with those ones. They weren't cheesy.
Thanks.
Very,
I try.
Yeah, I bet.
very cool.
Well, listen, this is where we give you guys an opportunity to talk about what's in the pipeline for you guys, what's on deck, what are you working on, and where can we find you on social media? Capel, let's start with you.
Well, on social media, I'm not very good in that. I'm only have Instagram. I delete my account on Facebook. So I just have that. And on Vimeo, if you want to watch some works, I have my channel in there. And as for next projects, I do have a lot of them, but I don't like to talk about them until they are real and tangible. So I have to not answer that for now.
We'll look forward to seeing your name attached to something, because Skull was awesome. Armando, what do you got?
Just like before the pandemic started on February last year, we shot a feature film. It's a drama feature film that people take drugs and go to other places, and it's now in edit. We are editing it right now, so it's gonna be ready to the end of the year or next year. Right now, we are planning to shoot a series, TV show, but like independent TV show. We're gonna shoot the first episode in 3 weeks. So we are all together in this. It's a police action kind of thing, and hopefully we can shoot one or two next feature films next year when we are all vaccinated here in Brazil. That I don't know when we are going to be vaccinated here. Only 10% of population is vaccinated here already. So we are
200 million left.
Yes, it's a lot of people. So we are preparing the terrain right now, working on projects, writing scripts, so we can get back together to shoot as soon as we have everyone vaccinated. And you can find my things at Instagram at Armando Fonseca. Or if you want to watch some teaser, trailers, films, go to armandofonseca.com. You can look all over there.
All right. Well, listen, we love the movie. Check out Skull, The Mask. Capel, Armando, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight on Where the Scary Things Are. We hope to have you guys again when we see a sequel, hopefully. Anyway, on behalf of Where the Scary Things Are, keep it scary.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks, guys, so much. We'll catch you guys. We'll send the podcast out, or you can watch the YouTube channel. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, though. We had a really good time.
Yeah, you guys were awesome.
Thanks, guys.
It was our pleasure, and thank you very much for liking the film. We really appreciate that. Was
No problem. Love it.
Love it. Yeah.
a very hard work, but at the end is paying off. So we hope to actually shoot a sequel.
I hope so. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I think there's enough demand for it. I really do.
We do have a lot of stories to tell, but it happens like to shoot a movie here in Brazil is very hard. We don't have like a financial system for making movies here. It's like we depend on the government, and the government doesn't like filmmakers.
Yeah. But that was
I
a lot
like
of fun.
filmmakers, but I don't have as much money.
Thanks,
as the
Armando.
government.
Well, hey, check it out, guys. We'll let you guys go, but thank you so much again for hanging out with us. You have a great night.
Thank
Be
you.
safe out there. We went through it here in the States with the COVID, and you'll get through it. I promise. Just be
Cool.
safe.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Take
Bye,
care, guys.
guys.
Bye.
You guys want to jump right into it? Let's do it.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's do it.
Okay, hold on. Good evening, listeners. Welcome to Where the Scary Things Are. I'm your host, MonsterMash Ken. Ready for another excellent episode. I believe this is episode number 97. We're getting close to that century mark. Muse, I remember when I first met you and we did our first show together. Man, that was awesome. And I can't wait to talk about that on the 100th episode, which I have something really cool planned for us. Anyway, with me, as always, as I mentioned, the Mistress of Darkness, the Queen of Fright, the Lady of the Night, Muse. How you doing tonight, lady?
Good. Like 97. I had to convince Jamie that it was actually, he goes, you guys haven't done that many. I was like, you don't know what you're talking about.
But we
Yeah, it doesn't
technically
seem
we've
like-
done more. We've done like sideshows that didn't count. So
Yeah.
it's almost 100. But yeah, it's
Doesn't
crazy,
seem like it.
right?
Time
I
is
know,
flown. We've been doing this, like almost 3 years now? It's kind of,
It's 2, I think. But
But it doesn't seem like-
Jamie's just surprised that I could somebody else could handle you for so long.
right.
And
blown
he's like,
away.
there's no way.
You couldn't
but
have
if
done
it-
it. No.
I know, right? But if it weren't for our other co-hosts here, Chris and HorrO, who are joining us tonight. Chris, what's up, man? I don't think I could do it. Chris deals with it his own way. How you doing, man?
I am doing wonderful. It's Tuesday night. I've been looking forward to this since last Tuesday. I am just had a very, very exciting week. I'll talk a little bit about it later. and it just doesn't get any better than this.
I agree. HorrO, what's going on with you and Dexter, that bony son of a bitch?
This bony son of a bitch has no hat tonight. He is ready and excited to talk about tonight's movie. He's a huge fan of it, obviously, because when you hear the movie, he can definitely relate, and he wants to be best buddies with the guy. So, we'll see. He's not invited to the house because he would destroy it. But, Dexter can maintain his relationship on Twitter or whatever.
That's hilarious. I didn't even think about that. Skull. All right, listen. As far as our movie goes tonight, really cool movies. You can catch it on Shudder right now. It's called Skull: The Mask. Now, this is a Brazilian film. We are going to have Armando Fonseca and Capel Furman on, who directed and wrote it and also produced it. This movie is hardcore, a lot of blood. It's a foreign film. It's dubbed, but this is what horror fans want. They want horror. They want blood. They want guts, over the top kills. There's some action scenes. It's a pretty cool story. There's good characters in there. It's an independent film. So, don't go into it thinking you're going to see one of these major productions or whatnot. Go with it. It's Skull the Mask. So that should sum it up for you. Anyway, yeah, I'm excited to get into everything with you guys tonight with all your different segments. I'm going to kick it off. I got two things I'm going to do a little different tonight. It's kind of funny. So I don't remember if I drank this beer last week or not, and I forgive me if I did, but it did. Summer started, I believe, Sunday maybe. And so I got this really nice summer beer, and this is Cape May Brewing. If you guys can see that. So this is my fear the beer of the week, Cape May Brewing. This is Orange India Pale Ale, crushing it, because we crush it here on Where the Scary Things Are. And it's 8% alcohol, so it's on a little higher side, which is cool. And I do like IPA, so let's try to open this up. Cheers to you guys. Now that is tasty. It's very, very I don't want to say tart, but like a fruity, orangey taste. I like it. All right, so do you guys hear about, like, I got a couple things. I'm gonna take a few minutes on my segment because I can do what I want. But you guys hear about, like, this whole debate on Chick-fil-A versus Popeyes, the chicken sandwich, and all these people were going crazy about the chicken sandwiches and whatnot. So guess what I have? I have a Popeyes chicken sandwich that I'm going to try for the first time because I haven't had one yet, and I'm going to try it right now. And I'm really hungry. I don't think I've eaten on this show yet, but this is the chicken sandwich. It's a crispy chicken sandwich. It got cheese and pickle and mayonnaise or something or other. So they're pretty good. Now you have to listen to me talk with my mouth full. So I'll be honest, it's really good. I don't know if it's quite as good as Chick-fil-A. I like Chick-fil-A a lot. I'm not huge on, like, the crispy stuff, but I don't know why people go crazy for food. It's good. It's not like over the top. I wouldn't kill anybody over it. There's a place in Southern California called Tommy's Burgers. I would kill somebody for that. It's like chili burgers, really good. All right, so here's my black hole of the internet. This was really cool, actually. There's this game out there. I don't know if anybody's ever heard about it. It's called Sad Satan. And this came from the black web. I don't know what the black web is. I've just heard, or the dark web. I don't know. I always think of the Matrix when I hear that. But apparently, like, there's this other web. I don't know. It's not just Google for us, normal people that use Google. But apparently, I'm just going to kind of read through some stuff here. And it kind of got me interested. But in the deep corners of the internet, a video is said to game exist. It's called Sad Satan, and it's a horror game unlike any other I've come across. Sad Satan cannot be bought at GameStop, nor can it be downloaded digitally via traditional storefronts like Steam. It allegedly can only be downloaded via tools that can access the hidden depths of the internet, like Tor. Some of the internet exists in places that we cannot normally see. You may know this as the deep web. I was wrong on both counts, I think. The term sounds more ominous than it actually is. The deep web is not some underground internet where only shady stuff like hacking or drug dealing occurs. As a life hacker explains it, the deep web refers to the vast repository of information that search engines and directories don't have direct access to. All right, so I'll skip all that. Anyway, this game, and you can watch videos of it. It looks creepy. So you're like walking, and there's like doors that open, and there's demonic images, and there's rumors that there were like child pornography and different things. People were telling people to do stupid things, and it turned. I guess there's like a YouTube channel or something, and it just disappeared. They found this guy who his name's Katuku, or it's a website developer. I don't know, but they interviewed this and they denied everything. But now you can't find this game anymore because it had such heat on this. So check it out. I'm curious because you have to download it if you can find it. It's called Sad Satan. But I'm only saying this because I have a friend who works in the FBI, Chris, and if I download it, he's going to help me out. I'm not going to play it because I got enough problems. I don't need demons in my house or any more heat. I don't need that smoke. But yeah, so that's my dark hole to internet or black hole to internet. And this kind of just sums up. You find this crazy shit on there that people do that are so bored, and they play these dumb games. And I'm just gonna say one thing: don't hurt yourself over something stupid. Don't do that. Just have fun on it. Watch porn. Porn's fun. Play a game. Play Animal Farm. Watch our show on YouTube. Watch funny videos on YouTube where the scary things aren't funny. We'll laugh. Don't do dumb shit. But this sounds kind of fun. I might check it out. I don't know. Anyway, that's my black hole to internet. And my beer of the week was the Cape May Brewing Crushing It. Anyway, Muse, you're up with the Sinister Six.
All right. I have to admit I'm intrigued, and
I know, right?
probably going to at least Google it and read up about it. I don't think I'm going. I don't really
watch
want
the
demons in
video
my house either.
No, watch the video. It's crazy. Like they have like a YouTube video of it. Like it kind of shows what you. It's pretty bizarre. It's pretty nuts, man.
I've come across some pretty weird stuff on the internet, and I've heard a lot about like the dark web, the deep web, whatever you want to call it. But it sounds pretty terrifying, that part of the internet, and I have no desire to delve into that. Honestly, a little too real for me. I love my horror on the screen where I can be safe. I don't want real life.
I owe you an apology. I don't have your images, so you can just jump right in. I know it's okay. Don't tell me what to do.
Hey. Ken just likes to give me a hard time.
I do.
All right. I sent him my list and everything. He's all like, yeah, thanks. All right.
I got too late. I was fumbling about. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I
got to give you a hard time back.
I was getting chicken sandwiches, Just get my chicken sandwich on.
Just eat your sandwich. All right. So this week I decided to kind of go a little bit different than I usually do. And I promise you I will get back to the horror movies next week. But today we're going to talk about Twilight. Just kidding. I just want to see Omar. Just kidding. No, we're not going to talk about Twilight because I think Omar would turn off his camera and leave. But no, we are going to talk about non-horror movies that have scary scenes in them. I thought this would kind of be an interesting topic. And I thought, there's lots of movies out there that are not scary, that have some pretty disturbing things happening in them. Other genres of movies. And I remember a lot of these from growing up, some from my teens and things like that, scenes that just stuck with me over the years. So I'm going to start out with one, and this has got to be, it's an excellent movie. Don't get me wrong. I am not bashing this movie at all, but it's so depressing. I'm going to start out with Train Spotting. Train Spotting is about a group of young men that are pretty strung out on heroin, basically the whole movie. It's extremely depressing. And the whole movie, it just is brilliant, but it gives you a very grim, realistic portrayal of drug addiction. And this movie hit a little close to home for me. I've had a lot of family members struggle with addiction. So this one actually really stuck with me over the years. But there is a particular scene, and definitely one that stuck with me. There is a particular scene where I guess the guys all were getting high and pretty wasted. And apparently somebody had a baby in the house. And apparently they forgot about the baby in the crib. And let's just put it this way. They went and go and look. And of course, the baby has passed away, and is just the most horrible scene. And is such a scary and depressing scene at that. Definitely a trigger warning. So if you go to YouTube to look it up, be aware that I mean, it's clear that it's not real, but I think just the idea of the scene just stuck with me, and it terrified me as a teenager. This came out in the early 2000s and was extremely disturbing to me. The whole movie was disturbing to me, but especially that scene. And I'm not even a parent, and I was just absolutely just, ugh. I mean, it just makes the Pet Cemetery scene pale in comparison to a degree, in a lot of ways, but or just be right parallel with it, just in a different genre of movie, just horrifying, something no parent would want to see. And the reaction is some fantastic acting by one of the main characters in the movie, played by Johnny Lee Miller. But that is number one, and I know that sounds so depressing. I'm starting off on an extremely depressing note, but it is just a movie, but it does give you a lot of really realistic portrayals of drug use in that movie. So that whole movie is just like one big scary scene after another, but that one stuck with me. The second film is from 1981, and it's Mommy Dearest. And Faye Dunaway gives the performance, one of the best performances of her life in this film. And we all know what scene I'm going to go to. No wire hangers. I actually rewatched the scene and was just like, my mouth was on the floor, just like the first time I saw it. She is just absolutely flipping out in the scene. She's comes in, she's got this mask on, you know, this like skin cream mask on. She's scary by herself, but she is literally having a meltdown over the fact that her adopted daughter has used wire hangers in the closet to hang up her dresses, and she just flips out. She starts beating this poor child with a wire hanger. It's absolutely terrifying. I remember watching this when I was much younger, probably way too young to see this one. And that scene just stuck with me. Faye Dunaway is a damn good actress, but she scared the crap out of me in that film as Joan Crawford. And I guess there's some debate about if this stuff actually happened. Were these actual events that occurred? Was this just, it was a book that was written, I think, after she was passed away. So by her adopted daughter. So I'm not bashing anybody, but it was an absolutely disturbing scene in the film at the very least. The third film is The Flying Monkeys from Wizard of Oz. I mean, this is a lot lighter fare here, but nonetheless disturbing. The witch, played by Margaret Hamilton, scared the crap out of me too. She scared the crap out of me before she was the Wicked Witch of the West, when she was just the mean lady that was trying to steal Toto from Dorothy. But the Flying Monkeys take the cake for the most disturbing part of this film to me. I don't even know what was going on with these things, but they're nightmare fuel, and they freaked me out pretty bad. I mean, I was just, I don't know. I can't even. They were disturbing. And I know there were quite maybe a few different things in the film that were pretty scary. But the Flying Monkeys did it for me. The fourth film is The Mummy Returns. Not The Mummy Returns, I'm sorry, The Mummy from 1999. There is a particular scene with scarab beetles, and I think scarab beetles are show up in at least 2 or 3 of these films. But there is a particular scene in the first movie where a scarab beetle gets underneath the skin of one of the gentlemen and just is like stuck underneath his skin, and it's crawling up and gets to his brain. And obviously, by the time the beetle gets to his brain, it's pretty much game over. And it was just horrifying to watch these things just embed underneath your skin. There's another scene, I believe, where one of the explorers with Brendan Fraser's character gets underneath his skin. They cut it out before it can get to his brain. But and just that by itself, having to cut this beetle out of your skin is just absolutely terrifying. But the scarab beetles from The Mummy just really disturbed me. And I'd say the last but not least film here would probably be from The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Now, The Lord of the Rings has some pretty disturbing imagery. I know a lot of people watch these films with their families, but there's a lot of disturbing imagery in these films, and they're fantastic films. And I became a huge fan because one of my best friends is like an avid Lord of the Rings fan. He's read all of the books. But for me, I have to honestly say the most disturbing and freaky scene that was in a non-horror movie for me was in Return of the King, the third movie in the series. Shelob, which was centered on the big spider, and it's where Frodo goes into Shelob's lair. And it's just this big, there's bodies everywhere, cocooned, and he falls over into a couple of bodies, and he has this vial of light that he's been given by Galadriel in the beginning of the movie, and the very first movie, The Fellowship of the Ring. And he uses this to basically repel the spider, and he survives. And of course, Sam tries to, comes down to his rescue as well. But the just giant spider. And I guess I was reading a little bit about this. Peter Jackson basically, the creature design for the spider was he wanted it to comprise just all the different terrifying visions he had spiders over the years. So this was definitely, it definitely took the cake for sure. And the last one, and I kind of got him out of sequence there, was, and this is not a scary movie either, of course, Die Hard. And I know you're probably like, Die Hard doesn't have any disturbing scenes. But what about the part where John McClane walks across the broken glass barefoot, and it's just, not only, he has to sprint across the broken glass, he gets, oh my God, it's all embedded in his feet. He's literally at one point getting big chunks of glass out of his feet. And oh my God, just every time I watch it, I'm like, and I love horror films, but I mean, if anybody's ever stepped on a piece of broken glass, it's usually a pretty vivid memory, and having to, just no. I don't relish that. I'm like really weird about getting stuff stuck in my feet, and that just always stuck with me. I'm a huge horror fan. I can watch people be decapitated, but John McClane getting some glass out of his foot, I'm done. I'm just like, it was such a realistic scene to me, and I think that's part of what makes some of these scenes so scary, is that some of these scenes could have actually, they could actually happen. Of course, Shelob the giant spider, no, but some of the others definitely could actually be rooted in reality for a lot of folks. So I'm going to go to Chris first, and I'm curious as to what Chris has to say for some of his favorite non-scary horror movies that had actually scary scenes. I'm saying that all wrong, but you know what I mean.
As you went through the segment, I had to go back and put on my University of Oklahoma hat for a couple of reasons. One is you want to talk about scary apocalypse movies. Thanks to the Supreme Court yesterday, the NCAA might be going through one of those right now. This is going to be fascinating to see. It's going to be life-changing. But Oklahoma, the movie, remember Oklahoma where this wind comes sweeping through the plain. Remember that it's a wonderful musical, Rodgers and Hammerstein, right? If I'm not mistaken. Actually filmed in Arizona, Ken. It's not filmed in Oklahoma. It's filmed in Arizona. But do you remember that nightmare scene with Rod Steiger going after, what's her name? Jones, Shirley, whatever her name is. The whole movie is frivolous and light and lively. And all of a sudden you get this one scene where this monster comes on and kills everybody. And it's a long, significant scene. It's people bring the kids to see this movie, and there's this 1 3-minute scene which is just terrific. The other one is Mary Poppins, the bedroom scene where the kids sort of fall into the tub or whatever. If you're a 5-6-year-old and you're watching that scene in Mary Poppins, that's quite horrific. And the other one, it could be a horror movie, but the movie Dead Calm with Nicole Kidman. Before they go out on the ship where Sam Neill takes her to recuperate after the child's death, they show the child's death. She's in traffic. The child unbuckles from her car seat. She has to hit the brakes, and the child in slow motion is a missile flying forward head first into the windshield, and the windshield shatters. And the next scene is of her at the emergency room. Child's obviously dead. I know, it's like a 1.5-year-old. And the look on her face is just total fright and shock. I don't know if you remember that, but the first 2 or 3 minutes of Dead Calm, it is a very, very chilling scene, especially if you're a parent. So those were the 3 that come right to mind.
I know Dead Calm had me on the edge of my seat. It was such a tense movie throughout. I don't remember that part, but it makes me want to go back and watch it, because I forgot about that scene in the opening there. But that whole movie is absolutely just got you white knuckling the whole way. Great performances. So I love those choices. And I'm going to go to Omar next. and find out what some of his favorite non-horror films with scary scenes are.
All right, well, yeah, I agree with Twilight. That's all horror.
And that's
Regardless of
he's just gonna say
regardless-
Twilight. That's it. Mic drop.
regardless of whatever, horror, non-horror, that's horror. Dexter would like to give the first response, and his answer is any moment in any Pee Wee Herman movie.
Yeah, I almost said that. Yeah, just watch that.
I don't know when the hell he's watched Pee Wee Herman, but apparently he has, and that's disturbing as it is. So lots of disturbance is going on there. As for me, I was kind of scrolling through there. Full Metal Jacket, when that one dude is kind of giving that speech and then just pulls the gun and just bam. That was pretty much of a shocker there. And as I was kind of looking through some of the movies here, another movie they mentioned was Seven, and to me, that's a horror movie. I know it's kind of listed as horror, crime, and thriller, and all this shit, but to me, that's a horror movie, and nothing explains that more than the end of that freaking movie. So I don't even understand how that even gets put in this category, but whatever, we can argue that a different time. Another movie is Godfather. How about the horse and the bed?
Yes.
That is true lovely horror right there. And I'll just throw a side out. How about tons of Disney movies? With like Bambi's mom getting killed. I mean, even though they may not show it, but Disney references a lot of like just bad stuff happening. Up is really sad, and there's death there, and all kinds of even real action Disney movies. What is it? What is that dog? Benji, and like all these things are just terrible. And we've talked about dogs getting killed before.
HorrO's gonna cry right now. You're gonna cry.
I'm gonna need Dexter. Go get me a tissue, please. Man, come here.
It's crazy that you mentioned Pee Wee Herman, because we just live tweeted that with the Stranger Friends there on Friday, and there's a large Marge scene, and her face just changes. I mean, it's just classic Tim Burton there. But yeah, seeing that as a kid was just like, oh my gosh. And I watched Pee Wee's Playhouse every week. I swear to God, I lived for that show. My mom was like, you're not watching that. I literally had to sneak out to my friend Sarah's house to watch it. So somehow she's listening to this. She's probably
that explains so much.
Right. Yeah.
I had to do that for Ken. I did that for Ken.
Thank you.
Ken
She's our sister. We got to pick on her. We got to pick on her sister.
I know, yeah. But it just, that is a fantastic. All those movies are great, and I couldn't agree more about Disney. Disney definitely has a dark side, and definitely is not afraid to go there. So definitely some great choices. All right, and the moment we've all been waiting for.
Yeah.
Ken's choices for not scary moments.
All right. First and foremost, you picked out some really good ones, Muse, with the Die Hard scene. Like, you cringe when John McClane is walking across the glass, like, and that just stuck out at me. And you guys all had really good scenes. Dead Calm too, Chris, that was good. HorrO, as far as like the Disney movies go, if you read some of the old stories where these took place, like the Cinderella story, the sisters were like cutting their feet to fit into that shoe. It was bizarre. Like, they cut their toes off and stuff like that. It's really dark shit, and they get away with so much and make so much money. And I give them a lot of my money. So yeah. But as far as movies that I picked, Saving Private Ryan, there was a scene where these two guys were fighting. He was fighting a German soldier, and there's like, he's slowly getting stabbed. He's trying to hold the knife, but the German soldiers on top of him. He's slowly getting stabbed. And he's like, no. And the soldier feels bad about it, and he walks away sad, because that's like true, like how shit would go down if you're going to, kill somebody, and you don't want to kill them, but you have to. And that was scary. That kind of stuck out to me. You're going to laugh at this one, Muse. Lo Pan from Big Trouble Little China. He scared the shit out of me when I was a little kid, man. That dude was scary as shit. And when Kim Cattrall and the beautiful Chinese gal with the green eyes, and when their eyes turned white, that was horrifying, because I watched the movie when I was little, but leave it to Jack Burton to save the day. So Lo Pan, for sure, when he gets hit by the bus and his eyes open, he shoots the fire out of his face, the light, whatever. What was the last one I had? Oh, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Yes, I almost said that. Yeah, we're on the same page. I almost said Big Trouble as well.
there were so many scenes in there, and the Oompa Loompas, just when I was little, they terrified me. Those things looked like they smelled like something awful, and it wasn't chocolate. And why were there so many of them? There were no women. I didn't see any women. So who knows what was going on there. But yeah, I just those things just gave me the heebie-jeebies. And I'm trying not to think about them right now, but they're in my mind.
Over here, about ready to choke on my Mountain Dew Zero here. Just like, try not to choke.
So the Oompa Loompas and Willy Wonka himself was freaky as freak, man. He was when he's on the
Everybody
boat.
talks about the boat scene in Willy Wonka and the
Yeah.
Chocolate Factory, where everything's just going all nuts and everything. I love that scene, but it freaked out a lot of kids, I guess, and it was like a
Yeah,
really
but
intense scene.
watching, yeah.
Yeah.
But oh, and also I like that you mentioned the Wizard of Oz, man. That those monkey things were freaky, man.
Oh man, I
Yeah,
was
the
like,
witch and
nightmares.
yeah. But good stuff. Good.
I want to give a shout out to Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, the snake scene where he's like, "No, it had to be snakes," and he's face to
Why
face
it had to
with
be
Cobra.
snakes,
I
yeah.
had to throw that in there. Raiders is a fantastic movie. I rewatched the scene last night just to refresh myself, and I'm just like, oh my, I was like, I don't know how they did that. I would have been. I'm not afraid of snakes, but I don't think I think I was reading that they had a piece of glass between him and the Cobra because he was literally face to face there. And obviously not face to face, but there was some glass there, but pretty amazing stuff and scary.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good list to make you think about, because we don't just watch horror movies, we watch all kinds of movies. And I know HorrO and Dexter watch Hallmark movies when we hang up the phone. But but anyway, great list, good stuff, Muse. Let's get on over to HorrO and Dexter with the 666 promote horror rundown.
Hey, we love Hallmark and all that stuff. Christmas in July and all that beautiful thriller stuff that comes on. I don't know. Anyway, so where are we going here? Okay, so over the months, when we're talking about remakes and so forth, we've gone over many examples of movies where we thought a certain movie could have been or could be in the future a good candidate for a remake and hasn't been remade yet. And when we've gone through that, we've talked about ways to kind of change it up and what ways that we could see them making it new and fresh and worth watching, even though most of them are not. And one of those ways is to kind of replace a large of these movies we can agree that are done with men leading men in important roles and so forth, and changing that up and giving women these roles. And sometimes it's the lead actor, sometimes just an important person, maybe the lead victim. But here we have a movie that is coming up that's being remade, and they have a chance to maybe do something different, and no one is sure really what's going to happen here. And the movie is Hellraiser, and it's the one. Let me make sure that I'm getting it right here. Is the one with David Bruckner that's coming out, and they just cast, and I'm going to butcher her name, but it's Odessa Zion as the lead character in the movie. Now, they don't really say what this lead character role is, and most people are kind of assuming this is to replace Ashley Lawrence's character with whatever theme they're going on here with this Hellraiser remake. But I was kind of looking at some of the articles about this, and I guess it was put out there as what if, or if is it a possibility that she's replacing Pinhead? Now, this kind of is something that maybe we haven't explored, or maybe gone as far as character wise. I think some of the movies that we may have mentioned over the past had important characters, but can you replace a male horror icon, someone like a Pinhead, with a woman? Now, certainly Hellraiser is unique in the story, where maybe she doesn't have to be quote unquote Pinhead, but you could certainly introduce a female character, and we've had other Cenobites that are females, but you could introduce a female character as the lead here if you're revisioning Hellraiser. But Are we going to go down that road? Does that then wipe out, where does Pinhead fall? Do you wipe out everything Pinhead does? Is she replacing him? What, where, you're remaking it, but you can't erase everybody's minds to where Pinhead is. So if, this is complete rumor, I have no idea, what role this woman has been cast in this movie. This is complete, this is not real. I'm not throwing, I'm putting out a situation here. So don't go out here, saying that this woman is replacing Pinhead. But what if they present us a movie where this woman is now Pinhead, or, however they decide to phrase it. I think, the only road to go is to kind of just maybe ignore Pinhead, and she kind of has to pick up and go with it, in which case, to me, that just doesn't work, because you can't ignore it. Maybe people who have no idea what Hellraiser is, or the series, that works for them. But anybody who does, that's just not going to work. So, if that's the case, it would be interesting to see how they try to pull that off, or what explanation. Can you say that, this is years and ahead, or years in the future, and she's replaced him, and Pinhead has moved on to another box, or wherever the hell he is, or is human now, or not human, or wherever the hell he is. We've seen some other Hellraiser remakes, and with Doug not being the character and not being Pinhead, and they've been disastrous. Not totally because the actress who replaces him. Those movies were not going anywhere as they were, but that's just an example of how tough this is. So again, my question, to you guys, how you feel about that. But not only that, is let's say they do this. Let's say they replace Pinhead with a woman. What does that do to some of our other slasher movies? Are we turning Michael to Michelle? Are we turning Jason to Janet? Are we turning Freddy to Frederica? Where are we going with this? And don't get me wrong. We love our women in horror. We completely support, women taking over. And we've listened to any of our shows. We talked about how great women are. And we've gone over movies that they've done perfect jobs behind the camera, in front of the camera. We love it. I'm not trying to knock it or say anything bad about it. But, if they do this, what door are we opening? Where do we divide between, do we really need to replace all these characters and change them up and do all these things? Just kind of setting a precedent here. What are we doing if that was to happen? So it's not a knock on it, not saying they can't do it, not saying anything bad about women in horror or whatever. Just, the thought of that, what if, are you willing to change on Michael up and make him, a woman? You can certainly make up your own serial killer in honor of Michael, and it could be a woman, and go with it. That's certainly, and we've certainly seen women be killers before, and that's fine. But I mean, to take a serious, hey, this is going to be in the franchise, in this, and we're going to just change it up and see what happens. I don't know. I don't know if we're going too far. And I know Chris is not in his head, but I want to go to Muse first, since she's the woman that represents women here, and kind of see where you kind of fall in this idea, and what would you think if a woman were to be proposed in this kind of situation.
Well, I agree. It's going to be difficult to make it work, especially with all of the, everything that surrounds the Hellraiser storylines. They went a lot of different directions with the Hellraiser movies at times. I would be all for it if and I'm all for a female Pinhead. I think it's interesting that they're thinking of this, because initially I remember hearing that the character of Julia in the first Hellraiser was actually supposed to be like the big deal. There wasn't supposed to be a Pinhead. She was supposed to be the main, I guess, hell priestess, or what you might have called her. And it just didn't play out that way. It ended up being Doug Bradley, which we all loved and was fantastic. It turned out great. But so it's kind of like maybe they're trying to go back and kind of make this happen. Maybe, I don't know. It's kind of interesting that they're going for it now, since that was supposed to be the original idea. But I think for me, I would be for it if it made sense. Because I'm all for, it's going to have to make some kind of sense. Like maybe she's a descendant or something of Pinhead, or I don't know. I mean, some kind of, let's weave it in there. I just don't think we should ignore Pinhead. I don't think I agree with you. I don't think it's going to work, especially not for fans of the Hellraiser movies. And like you said, if it's somebody that has not seen the Hellraiser movies, they're not going to know either way, and it could work. But I think primarily the people that are going to be going to see this will be horror fans, and if they're a horror fan, they've probably seen the Hellraiser movies. So you've got to make this make sense. So so maybe she's a descendant, maybe she's connected to Pinhead somehow. They can make it happen. I mean, there's some great writers out there that can make these stories happen. I also like the idea of maybe her picking up the torch after Pinhead, if something happens to Elliot Spencer's character or something like that. Maybe we saw it happen in Saw. I mean, saw the character of Amanda picking up kind of like the mantle for Jigsaw and things like that. So we saw kind of like a female character kind of take over, and it didn't have to completely discard the idea of Jigsaw. It just continued on the legacy of the film, and I think that's important, is the legacy of the film. And I definitely think that there has to be some kind of connection, or I don't want to see it. Honestly, I want it to make sense, and I love the idea, and I think they can make it make sense. I am all for a female character portraying this type of character, but it needs to be connected. I just think that just chucking the whole idea of Pinhead out the door and starting over just makes it just, why? You don't have to. It can still, we can have it all, people. We can. We can have a female character, and we can still acknowledge Pinhead as well. So that's my take on it.
All right, so we'll jump to Chris, but yeah, I think legacy is definitely of importance.
We've had it. The Bad Seed is the first one that comes to mind. Black and white movie. Little girl is a horrific murderer. Nobody Lives. What ends up being the vicious killer is the what you thought was a diminutive little girl in a cage. The remake of Camille Keaton movie, I Spit on Your Grave, with Sarah Butler. It was a little bit different than the 1978 I Spit on Your Grave, because Sarah Butler had a look. She could have been a slasher. When she's coming back for the guys that assaulted her and raped her, she's got a bit of that Jason in her. And it comes through in her face. And it was like watching Jason kill campers when Sarah Butler emerged in the woods, now a killer. And I thought she did it quite well. But, when we have women as slashers, oftentimes in movies, it is the twist at the end. We don't go through the whole movie looking at this Jacina with a hatchet. It's like at the end, it's revealed that it's not the hulking escaped lunatic who got caught, in another town. And when we find out it's this beautiful woman who broke up with a boyfriend, it's the twist. So we don't go through the whole movie seeing it as a slasher. But leave Pinhead alone. Women characters, the writers who are out there now, the twists can maybe emerge earlier in the movie. And I don't think you've got to sort of borrow an existing character to bring a woman in as a horrific creature or a slasher. So that's just my 2 cents on it.
Go for it.
Yeah. I am in agreement with all of you. I think that if we're going to stick with just Hellraiser, that world is so big that you don't have to piggyback off of an established character. There's so many things you can do with that. And I honestly, I don't know. I would imagine that Clive Barker, would not want to do that. Like, why? Pinhead is Pinhead. He's that's it, and we can have another character. And women are scary, not just in horror movies, but in real life. Women are horrifying and they're scary. So there's so many different. I can think of 10 women right now that terrify the hell out of me, and you don't need to piggyback after another character that's already been established, and that's one of the probably top 5 horror icons. If you think about it, you got Jason, Freddy, Michael Myers, who else? I mean, Pinhead might be next. I don't know. So other than the classics with Dracula and Frankenstein and Mummy and all that, but then you go into this generation, it's different. And Pinhead's got to be arguably on that Mount Rushmore there. So you have this world of these Cenobites. We see them as they come, and what's their story? Why are they like that? Why can't you just continue it? And I know the world, we're trying to turn a better leaf here in equality, but there are different ways to do it, and I just don't think this is the right way. And if I was that actress that was going to take that role, if that was presented to me, I'd be like, well, why can't it just be its own character? Why would I want to be in a male's character and be in that shadow, and then I'm walking into a bad situation there? I'm going to be criticized. Horror critics are the worst. We're bad. We want things the way we want them, and that's not what I would imagine. 95% of the horror community does not want this, but I would still probably watch. I don't know, but that's my take. Women are scary. I'll leave it at that.
I better be on that list. That's all I gotta say. I better be on a scary woman list.
You're like top one right there, man. There's
Number
second to
one.
none. Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah,
I better be
nightmares.
top 3 or something. I mean, I think you nailed it.
Jamie
perfectly,
knows.
Ken. Yeah, he don't.
Yeah.
He'd say that's Lori in the no wire hangers scene with their beauty mask on at night. But you nailed it when why would you want to be in the shadow of an iconic character like Pinhead? She should be her own character, and there's a way to do that. So yeah, I just want to weigh in on that. So yeah.
I completely agree, and I think just to wrap it up, I think Hellraiser is one that leaves room to be open. But if you were to take something else, you could stretch it out with maybe Freddy. Jason, you can't do. Michael, you can't do. But I'm just saying, what if, are we going to that direction? And again, just to remind everybody, this is a complete what if situation. This actress is not going to replace Pinhead as far as anybody knows for sure now. This is just a what if. And I guess the problem here is that you're remaking the movie. If you were saying it was another Hellraiser movie, then you could go and do whatever the hell you want. But if you're remaking Hellraiser and you're supposed to start with a woman Pinhead or a woman beginning, that kind of changes everything. And I guess that is where the problem exists. And with that, we'll move from problems to other problems. And one problem we won't have here in the news is, thank God for Steven Spielberg and his not wanting to have a remake, because as far as he's concerned, there will be no remake of Jaws as much as he can do it. And we love Steven Spielberg for that. I know John Grant can appreciate that kind of news, but there will be a Blackula remake. Yes, they are going to remake that movie as well. So one non-remake and one remake to look forward to here. Eli Ross Borderlands has wrapped, so we are supposedly going to see that hopefully sometime before the end of the year. Something if you guys have missed, I know some of you guys haven't seen it or maybe will not see it, period, but Spiral, the new Saw movie, will be out on 4K Blu-ray, DVD and digital next month, so something to look forward to there. Terrifier, we're still waiting for the movie to ever happen, but the comic book has been released and you can find that on the Terrifier shop page. So if you're just dying for some of that, you can check that out. Something I'm excited, but this is going to be way off and still in the future, is Wolf Creek 3. Looks like it will happen. The script is supposedly being shopped at the Cannes market right now, with hopes that a production will take place starting later in this year. So hopefully we do get a Wolf Creek 3, because I cannot get enough of Nick. Something that we will have to wait for also is Hotel Transylvania Transformania. Well, that was supposed to come out next month, but I guess they've moved that to October. Why not? Here's an interesting pairing: Megan Fox and Bruce Willis. Didn't think you'd kind of see them together, but they are together in a movie called Midnight in the Switchgrass. Not totally horror, more of a crime thriller kind of setting there. but that will be coming to us next month. So looking forward to that. Don't forget, Megan Fox also has another horror movie coming out. I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago. A movie well worth seeing, Jacob's Wife. If you're waiting, that will be coming on Shudder, but that is also coming to DVD and Blu-ray in July. I totally recommend that movie, whether you see it on Shudder or you get it on DVD or Blu-ray. And speaking of recommendations, two quick ones here. Werewolves Within, done by the same director of Scare Me, which was on Shudder. I just saw it. Really fun and funny movie to watch. And one that's coming out next week is Let Us In, which kind of falls maybe in that black hole of the internet kind of thing that Ken always talks about. But yeah, I can't say much about that yet. But two movies to look forward to there, and I've seen some other good things. So I got some good recommendations coming in the weeks to come. So yeah, that's it, and I can't wait to hear what Chris has to say about this movie.
Let's get into the creature feature of the week, Chris. Go for it, man.
Skull, the Mask. Let's talk. Let's not end our discussion on psycho lunatic women with machetes who are nymphomaniacs and they kill with spear guns and daggers and guns. And if you want to see a whole lot of that, read one of those Max Gunsler, my pen name, books. Gunvor the Space Babe is just out. Bikini Babes vs. Vampires. And a couple of more, you'll love them if that's the type of character you want to see. And if that's the type of character you want to see, our movie today is Skull, the Mask. And I want to do a little bit of a different approach to this. You're going to hear from Armando and Capel, the directors of this movie. And if you notice the image behind Ken of what you might have thought was a demented psycho gore man. Can you picture a demented psycho gore man? If you saw that movie, well, you have it here, and you're going to meet him. Picture Psycho Gore. That's him, right behind Ken. You don't get the full sense of who that is. That's a mask that was put on a guy with a containment suit, and that becomes that thing. And what you don't see there is the tentacles that shoot out of it and rip people apart and fondle a hooker and impale bodies. And it's just wonderful stuff. This is stuff the Christmas cards are made of. And you're going to get that, but it's going to be in a horror movie, not a horror comedy, not a horror romance. And believe me, Capel and Armando, I'm going to say, this isn't a horror movie. This is a drama of a love story. No, it's not going to happen here. Otherwise, they wouldn't be on the show. No humor in this. And it is a resurrected artifact that the military had that got out of hand. A guy is sent in to steal. It's 1944. Another guy is there to keep it safe. He gets killed. Okay, the thing gets stolen. The thing gets out of hand, and now it is modern day. And a number of different characters are in this. Manka is the son of the original keeper of this thing, and he is determined to get it back before a demon from the netherworld. And you're going to get a glimpse of the netherworld. I'm not going to say too much about it, but you're going to get a glimpse of the netherworld when, I can tell you about that early on in the movie. But he's good. The risk is that he's going to come back. And of course, when demons from the netherworld come back and take hold, you've got probably what we have now going on in the world. So it probably happened already. We're watching it. But in the movies, it hasn't happened yet. And so there's this skull thing. It's an artifact. It's been, archaeologists have been contracted to collect this thing for this wealthy industrialist who is bringing some Chinese into Brazil to make corporations that'll probably ruin the Amazon and cut down trees and stuff. But don't worry, they'll get what comes to them. There's a monster in it. It's horrible. I've described it already. It guts you. It pulls your heart out. It pulls your ribs apart. There's going to be massacre scenes. There's going to be a ninja scene in a church with a diminutive Jesuit who turns black belt. There's going to be I think they still call them discos down there. That's not going to go well for the dancers and DJ. And Now you have all that, but what I want to tell you is in this movie is I want you to look for this. It's going to be right in front of you. And like our previous discussion on women monsters, not literal monsters, but psychos, killers, whatever, is Beatrice, played by the wonderful, effervescent Natalia Rodriguez. My Brazilian friends will know what I'm talking about. Cross between Mila Jovovich and Paula Oliveira, and a beautiful detective. But from the first moment we see her, we are told that she might be a bigger monster than the monster she's going to end up going after. There is insinuation that she might have been involved in and partook in something horrible that happened just a few years previous. And that keeps coming back throughout the movie. And as we found out, Natalia, in the movie, Beatrice, played by Natalia Rodriguez, is, I tell you, there are a couple scenes when she's pitted against hoodlums, or she's pitted against this wealthy industrialist that has the power to buy the world. And when that happens, we're looking at them, not Natalia, as the victim, because we know Natalia doesn't intend to, Beatrice does not intend to lose out to these guys. And when we watch Beatrice and we watch this monster, they get closer and closer together. There's going to be a final confrontation, or at least it seems. We're not so convinced that this beautiful police detective is at a disadvantage. And so whether that happens or not, no spoilers here, but there are two monster movies in this movie, and they're converging. One is a lot human, like us, beautiful, but deadly. It may be fiendish, maybe evil. We don't know. It's insinuated, and might be the object of a sequel. And then there's this vicious thing there with the tentacles that rips out rib cages and stuff. True horror movie. No humor, no laughing, no love story. There's a bit of a love story, but they get ripped apart early. It's it's like, oh, isn't that nice, love? And we remember it's a horror movie. The directors did, and they just shredded them right there. It's heartbreaking, but it was so nice. So that's all I'm going to say. We will reveal more about it in our interview with the two directors, which you will hear. And that's my review.
Let's jump into it, Chris. Great job with the review. You're so animated. If you listen to the podcast, you don't see Chris as he talks, and he talks with his hands a lot. It's very animated character. So tune into the YouTube channel and watch it. Check it out. All right, let's sit tight for 1 second. Let's bring in our guest. All right, so we're back. What an interview. That was awesome. They did really good on the Deathly 13. Muse, you had some great questions there this week. Not that you don't ever, but I felt they were pretty good. They weren't so hard. They were pretty simple. Not simple, but good enough. Anyway, this is the worst part of the night where we have to say goodbye to everybody. Thank you to the chat room. Had a couple new names in there. We love you guys. You guys are the lifeblood you guys are the skull mask to where the scary things are. You bring us to life, and we want to chop people up. Anyway, Chris, what do you got for us tonight?
Yeah, I want to say a big hello and thank you to a good friend and a very talented and lovely lady, Brooke Lewis, also known as Brooke Lewis Bellis. You might remember from the Slime City Massacre, Day of the Living Dead, a lot of good horror films. Got a chance to chat with her on a new app I have on my phone called Up Close. Let me get you the exact app. It is called, there it is, Get Close and Personal. And we had a nice little 5-minute conversation, and it was just a love fest. And I was just drooling the whole time. So I probably didn't ask or say anything coherent, but it was a thrill for me. One of the nicest people you are ever going to meet. And I look forward to her future projects as well.
All right, I'll check it out. Hey, man, congratulations too on your books, man. You guys are you're killing it. Your art is just killer. Um, all right, let's jump over to HorrO and promote horror with Dexter.
All right. Hey, good work for Dexter, hunting down the directors that we had, and directors and writers we had tonight. Dexter was on the hunt, and we credit his hard work there for making that happen. He loves the Skull, and obviously Psycho Gorman and Fried Barry and all those crazy people. Anyway, shout out to Craig Moss, director of the upcoming, what I mentioned, Let Us In movie that's coming out next week. I got to speak with him for a few minutes today. Looking forward to seeing everybody's reactions to that movie. Shout out to all the other indie horror filmmakers out there, like the two that we just interviewed. Didn't think that they would ever have a movie made and put it out there and look at it blow up. It's always great when we get to talk to directors and writers that have their movie do that. It's a special thing for them, and I enjoy talking to them. Again, as always, love horror, love the horror community. Thank you for everybody who's continuing to contribute to that. And as always, spread the horror. And until next week.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Dexter, for going out of your way and bringing in our guest for the night, all the way from Brazil. So you outdid yourself, man. You deserve a beer that I hope you choke and die on. Muse, what do you got for us tonight?
Yeah, mess me all up right before I'm gonna
Yeah,
say
I know. I do it on
already ready
purpose.
to say. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to say shout out to Shudder for having so many great movies that we have access to. And if you have not subscribed to Shudder, you're missing out. As a horror fan, it's a great price, and you're getting just on all kinds of great horror movies, classics to indie horrors to all kinds of great stuff. So I have to say shout out to them and of course Skull the Mask is featured on there as well. And in case you guys missed that. Shout out to Miss Luna, who is not here tonight. I don't know where she's at, but we love her and we hope she's back next week. I missed her this week, and always shout out to Casey. Always miss her face, and always miss her. I love her. I still love her segment of all kinds of crazy things that she would find. Is just a great segment. And so yeah, that's it for me this week.
Oh man, now I gotta text her. Damn it. I miss her too. Come back.
Yes,
And
harass
Luna,
her
of course. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks to you guys. You guys did great tonight, as always. Very on point and well prepared, as always. Thanks to the chat room. You guys are killer, like I said before. And thanks to our guests for joining us tonight. We look forward to talking to you next week. Till then, keep it scary, my friends.